Hello YouTube, WW Solo Trucker here again with another video on trucking. This video I want to talk about schools and truck driving itself. I'm going to break it up into two sections. The first section is going to be a general overview of getting your CDL, and the second section will be about North Carolina, because that's where I got my CDL from, North Carolina. Now, first of all, if you're thinking about doing this and you've never done anything like this before, the first thing you need to do is you need to ask yourself, do I really want to do this? Because there is a lifestyle behind it, especially if you're going to go over the road, long haul. Now, even the local drivers put in a lot of hours. I myself, I'm over the road, so I pretty much live in the truck. I'm home like 3 days a month. I got to go home for Christmas, but I was working for New Year's. Well, I sat in a truck stop for a couple days at New Year's because there wasn't any runs available. But New Year's Day, I got a run, picked it up on the 2nd, and you know, went right back to work. So there's a certain lifestyle. The local drivers and the regional drivers, they also, you know, they have to work long hours. We put in 14 hours a day. And if you think about it, that doesn't leave a lot of time. You know, there's only 24 hours in a day. And that's the main reason why I didn't go local. Because, you know, like I said, 12, 14 hours a day, if you're doing local or regional. And regional is your home once a week. You're only gone during the week, but you're still putting in those, you know, 14-hour days. But if you're working local, you got to drive to work first. You know, you got to go from the house to pick up your truck. So, you know, and go home again at the end of the day. So it didn't seem like a very good thing, pleasurable thing to me. That's why I said, you know, go ahead and do it over the road. You know, stay out a month at a time, sometimes more. But, you know, ask yourself that, you know, do you think you can do that? You know, that's the first thing. You got to be honest with yourself. And then if you don't have any problem with it, I knew that I could do it because in the past I've done jobs that were kind of similar. I did stage production for about 5 years, which required me to be, you know, out on the road quite a bit. And that didn't bother me. I didn't have any problem with it. So I knew, you know, well, I shouldn't have any problem doing this, which I don't have any problems at all. So being able to handle the lifestyle, you know, can you do that? You know, do you think you can handle that, being away from home a lot, you know, not having any time? Me, personally, if I was married or if I had a family, a young family, I probably wouldn't want to do this. But that's just my opinion. You know, there are plenty of truck drivers out there that, you know, work like me, over the road, only home once a month, that are married, got families, you know, and they, you know, have a life, you know. But to me, that just, it didn't seem like something that it would interest me if I was married. Okay, so you got that part done. Now, second thing you look at is say, what about your criminal record? What about your driving record? If you've got a sketchy driving record, like if you've got a string of, you know, DUIs, you got a string of, you know, maybe you got felonies, or, you know, been in jail a lot, been out of jail a lot, that might hurt you. There are some companies out there that will hire felons, but it is kind of depending on the nature of the crime and how long ago it was, and that sort of thing. Like I said, I got a couple of DUIs on my record, but luckily for me, they were a long time ago. They were more than 10 years ago, and most companies look back like 10 years to see, you know, what kind of driving record you got. And they weren't multiples either, so I wasn't considered a habitual offender. That's what they call it. If you're a habitual offender, they might not hire you. So before you go any further than that, you know, you figured out you like the lifestyle, you can live it, maybe you got a little bit of a criminal record, so you might want to do what I did. I spent about a month on the phone, on the internet, sending emails, talking to trucking companies. I must have gotten contact with 100 different trucking companies, and the most of them, they, before I could get halfway through my little speech that I prepared, they were like, how many years of verifiable experience do you have driving? And as soon as I said, well, I don't have any, it was like right away they cut me off. Call me back when you got 2 years verifiable over-the-road experience. Click, hung up the phone. Most of the companies are like that. Now, there are a lot of, and those companies didn't know anything about my driving record or anything. Now, there's still a lot of companies, the big companies, they will hire people in bulk. If you got a CDL and a Pulse, you can work for them. There are a lot of companies like that. U.S. Express, Swift, Snyder, CR England, Knight, TMC. There's a bunch of them out there. You just have to take some time and call these companies and find out what their hiring policies are, or go to their website. A lot of companies have good websites, but a lot of them don't. So that's why I say do that research. Okay, you figured out you can handle a lifestyle. You've talked to companies and they'll hire you. You can get a job. Now you got to go figure out what you got to do to actually get the CDL. Well, that's going to depend on what state he's in. Like I said, I'm cutting this video into 2 parts. We're going to get into the meat of it here. Each state has different rules and regulations and prerequisites that you have to do, sort of hoops you got to jump through, whatever you want to call it, to be able to get your CDL. Some states require that you go to a school. Some states require that you get a job with a company, and then the company sends you to school. Some states require that the companies have their own schools, and you get hired and go through their school that way. Some states, have a long list of things in the school you got to go through, and some states don't. It just depends. So what you got to do is you've got to go down to your local DMV office, what they call them in North Carolina. They call them other things in other states, where you get your normal driver's license, and you ask them for the CDL handbook. And they give you that handbook. You take it home and you read the front part, the introductory part, where it tells you all the requirements for your state.